Back with another video, and in this video we will be taking a look at how to set up the monsters as a preparation for combat. In a previous video we looked at how to place the monsters on the tiles, but before we can get to that we need to decide what we're actually facing. In the quest description you can find information on what faction of monsters you're facing, and this corresponds to the tables available in the bestiary. So once you've determined that you have encountered an enemy, you need to reference the table. On these tables you roll a d20 and you add plus 10 for every level of the party. That means that if you have a level 1 party and you roll 15, you would end up with 1d4 skeletons armed with longswords, shields and armor 1. But if you were level 2, you would end up with a shambler. Now once we know what we're facing, it's just a matter of locating the cards. Skeleton monster card, armed with a longsword, equipped with a shield, and armor value 2. So this will give you all the information you need to fight these skeletons. Some enemies have the ability to use magic, like this Necromancer. He's armed with a staff and he comes with spells. 1 close combat spell, 1 ranged spell, and the Raise Dead spell. Once again we locate the monster card. We have the Necromancer, and he was armed with a staff. Then we need to decide the spells. And we know for a fact that he should have the Raise Dead spell, which is from the support deck. So we will locate the Raise Dead spell. Then he should have 1 close combat and 1 ranged spell. So we simply take the deck with the range spells, mix them, and he will have a firebolt spell. And we'll do the same thing with the close combat deck. Teleportation. There, now he's ready to fight as well. Let's take a look at the actual monster card and see what kind of information we have there. Just like the heroes, they have a set of stats and skills, although not quite as detailed as for the heroes themselves. We've got combat skill, we've got range skill, we've got damage, and damage could be either a modifier to the weapon the monster is using, or it could be a natural damage if the monster is not using a weapon at all. We've got resolve. And resolve is the monster's ability to, for instance, resist magic. We've got to hit, and to hit represents the monster's ability to defend itself. So the lower the number here, the harder the monster will be to hit. So we'll basically subtract this from the hero's combat skill. We've got natural armor, and this value should be added to any other armor the monster has. We've got the movement in squares, and we've got the monster's dexterity. And then we have the hit points, we've got the experience points, and it doesn't matter who kills the monster, who lands the killing blow, all party members, except those knocked out, will get the experience points for killing it. And we have the loot table, in this case T1, which is the table you will be rolling on when you try to search the skeleton for valuables. Then in the middle we've got the special rules that apply for this monster. In this case we have first just bones. It says weapon projectiles -2 damage. And that means basically that all weapons that fire projectiles will make 2 points less damage. And that's because, well, basically they're just bones. They are hard to hit. Then next up it says part gives bone meal as part beside T1. That means besides finding any loot on this table, any alchemist can take parts of this skeleton to make bone meal used for alchemy. And last but not least, it says Fear 2. Needs to pass resolve to attack, and a fail will give you -10 close combat skill, range skill, or arcane arts. That means that all heroes of level 2 or less will have to make a fear test, and fear tests are made on resolve. And if you fail, you will have a negative bonus to your combat skill, your range skill, and your arcane arts. And finally, just beneath the title, we have Lower Undead. And this tells you which behavior card to use when activating the skeleton. Now, the special rules on the cards are quite short, so if they are unclear, you can take a look in the bestiary again, and you can find a chapter with all the special rules in alphabetical order, with a more thorough description. They are also divided into passive or active skills. We'll take a look at that right now. Let's say our party faces a stone troll. First off, we can see that we should use the beast behavior card, this one, and we've got some stats, and we've got some special skills. As a general rule, active special rules are those that require an activation, whereas passive rules are always in play. So for instance, we've got regenerate. Well, the troll will have his regenerative ability all the time, so that's a passive ability. Stupid, well, it will be constantly stupid, so that won't change, so that will be a passive ability as well. We've got large. Well, the troll won't change size either, so that will be a passive ability. Simple weapons. This means basically that trolls don't use fancy weapons. They take whatever they have at hand. However, from a gameplay perspective, we classify these as warhammers. But they won't change weapon during the fight, so simple weapon is also a passive ability. Fear. Well, they will cause fear all the time, so this is also a passive ability. Last but not least, we've got Bellow. Bellow, on the other hand, is an active ability. This is when the troll roars on the top of his lung, trying to intimidate or stun the enemies. So this one will require a specific activation. Now, if we take a look at the behavior card, we will see that we have a set of basic rules, and then we have a table at the end. The basic rules are meant to be followed from the first to the last, until you find a rule that suits the situation that the troll currently is in. When you come to a situation where the troll will actually attack the heroes, you would roll on this table. Now, as the troll has a special rule that requires activation, we would first have to decide whether the troll attacks as normal or if it will try to use its special ability. And this is done by rolling a d6 on the leftmost part of the table. In this case, if we roll 1 to 4, the troll will continue to make a normal attack, and we would then roll again on this inner table, with a result of 1 to 4 resulting in a power attack, and 5 to 6 will result in a standard attack. If the first roll would have resulted in a 5-6, however, it would try to use its special skill. If this for some reason is not applicable, it would then instead attack, so we would go back to this top part of the table. Now, my recommendation is that you would roll these dice together using different colored dice. So for instance, a green die for the leftmost part of the table and a blue die for the right part of the table. So in this case, a 2 would indicate that we should go on the normal attack, and a 6 would tell us that this would be a standard attack. Once you get the hang of it, you will be rolling lots of dice together. So if I were to activate this stone troll, I would be rolling all these dice together. Now, the green one would be telling me that he would be doing a normal attack. The blue one tells me that he's doing a power attack. The D100 tells me whether he hits or not, and in this case he has rolled 9, which is below his combat skill, plus the bonus he gets for power attack, so that's a hit. And the red 3 will tell me that he has hit the hero in the torso, causing 8 points of damage, which is the damage provided by the Warhammer. More about this as we get into the actual combat. In some cases you might end up with an action that the monster cannot do. For instance, a power attack would require 2 action points, and if this troll would have been wounded, it only has 1 action point. In that case, you could skip the blue die, because if it makes a normal attack, it will always make a standard attack, because that's the only viable option. But more on this in an upcoming video. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.